Thank you. Thank you very much and welcome. Welcome to our special live broadcast in honor of Mother Angelica's 90th birthday. Now that's going to be coming up this Saturday, April 20th. Now, of course, living 90 years on this earth is a great accomplishment. All the 89-year-olds are looking for it. And for the next 90 minutes, we're going to be celebrating Mother's 90 years of life with you, our EWTN family, a family that gathered around because of her. And you'll get a chance later in the show to call in with your birthday wishes for Mother Angelica, so please stay tuned. Now, joining me on the set is the president and CEO of EWTN, Mr. Michael Warsaw. Also, the community servant for the MFVAs, Father Anthony Mary Stelton. And we are really delighted to have with us tonight from Our Lady of the Angels Monastery in Huntsville, Alabama, Sister Mary Regina of the Holy Angels, and Sister Mary Agnes of Jesus. And I was a little more excited having you because y'all don't get out as much. I mean, we get a chance to see each other, and it's an extra special treat having you join us down here in Birmingham. So it's great to have you here with us. Thank you for being on the show. Now, 90 years is longer than all of us have been alive, not combined, but certainly longer than all of us have been alive. Matter of fact, I've been a religious half that amount of time. So, you know, this is a significant moment for Mother, and it's significant for all of us. You know, actually, you, Sister Regina, have known Mother the longest. Yes. When did you first meet her?
I met Mother Angelica when I was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And that was when she came here to the south and down here in Irondale, and she was building the monastery that's here now.
Okay.
And
so what year would that have been?
I'm thinking it was about 1962.
1962. Okay.
And I had a friend that brought me to visit. She was one of the ladies, Frances Schillenberg. She would come down and help Mother to do things that she needed to do in the monastery, take her to places or in talks and things that she was establishing the monastery. And I come from an Italian community.
Here in Birmingham.
Yes, yes. It's the west part of town. It's they call it Inslee at that time. They call it Little Italy.
Right.
So I was an Italian descent here in the south.
It's a very important community here in Birmingham area.
Right, Sicilian.
Sicilians. And we'll be careful.
Yeah, very good.
And so then you eventually entered the monastery.
Yes, about 2 years later.
Okay. All right.
After we would walk through the monastery like open house.
Sure.
You know,
sure,
when you're building.
And you just wanted to stay?
Well, I guess I did have a vocation kind of coming inside of me, and then I would go through, and I met Mother, which my first impression of her, I was walking down the hallways, and she stopped and she looked at me. There was a lot of people in and out, coming in and out like that, and then all of a sudden she looked at me, she smiled at me, and then she really went away. I mean, often I said, boy, I would like to have said something to her. But when she turned and looked at me, I said, oh my goodness, I see Jesus. It was one of I could never really explain it, but when she looked at me, I knew that Jesus was looking right at me and saying, this is the monastery that you have to come to. Yeah. So I was very impressed with her.
I guess so, because you've been here now for 49 years?
49, I entered in 1964.
Now, you would have been one of the first sisters locally to enter and be in the community?
Here in the Birmingham.
He's our firstborn Birmingham Monastery.
And Sister, you came considerably later, because I remember when you arrived, I'd already been doing programs down here. You've been here how long now?
27 years.
27 years. So television was already going on when you
4
came
hours
here.
a day, because we started
Right.
in 81. I came to visit in 85 and entered 86. So it was still small.
Yes, it was.
It was very small.
It was. And we'll get back to you because I want you both to talk more about Mother a bit. But I just want to make sure we get to introduce everyone. Michael, you've been working here for how long now?
Well, I came to work for EWTN in 1991, but my association and the first time I met Mother was actually in 1987. I was working at the Basilica in Washington back in those days and was the communications director. So I came to Birmingham to talk to Mother about televising masses from the Basilica and doing some things there. So from that really developed a relationship with Mother, and we worked together in different capacities over the next several years. And in 1990, I had the pleasure of hosting her for a visit to Washington, D.C., and we had several public events for her. And before she went off to the airport, she got into the car, or was about to get into the car, excuse me, and put her hand on my shoulder and said, "Well, sweetheart, why don't you come and work for me?" And she got in the car and waved and drove off, and left me standing on the curb thinking, well, I think that was a job offer, but I'm not so sure. So
and typical of her, she didn't mention what the wages would be.
no, of course not. No, none of that mattered. None of that mattered. It was just that was the offer. So 6 months later, my wife Jackie and I were in Birmingham, Alabama. We left our townhouse on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and here we were in Birmingham, not ever having up to that point had any thought that we'd be in Birmingham, Alabama, of all places. And so all of these years later, I always think back that the great irony is that first meeting with Mother was in the chair in her office, and all these years later, that's my office, and I'm just on the other side of the desk now. So.
Now, Father Anthony, you came from pretty great distance from Minnesota. What drew you down here, and how did you get to meet Mother?
Well, I came in 1993, right after the radio network launched. And Mother Angelica had that charisma. When I was
Back in my neighborhood, we call that putting the touch on you.
yeah, when you met Mother, she had an ability to make you feel welcome, for one thing, and like you were part of the mission, and you knew you had no idea what you were doing, and she just invited you to step in and be part of it. I think that really was so attractive about her and appealing.
Yeah, and I can mention just a little bit about my first meeting with her. I'd been doing a little bit of radio work in Nashville. I was in graduate school up there at Vanderbilt, and I'd heard some anti-Catholic stuff on the radio, and I complained, and they said, well, you come on our show and you answer the questions. So I did, and I did that a lot, and then Bill Steltermeyer saw me at a television show. I was at a Protestant show that was actually very friendly. They were very, very sweet. He liked the way I was handling myself, so he suggested I come here, and I did. I drove down from Nashville. She gets a lot of things confused when she tells us. She said she tells some people I was on a motorcycle. My superiors wouldn't allow me to have a motorcycle. They said, we paid too much money to put stuff in your brain. We don't want it squashed on the ground. So I had a 1968 Pontiac Le Mans. And the reason I mentioned it was kind of a beater. It was a $200 car. It had been T-boned once and just didn't look very good. So I just wore my blue jeans and flak jacket and hunting boots in case I had to get out and do something to fix it.
Did you
that
have
was
a
still the
cowboy
kind of.
hat?
I had a cowboy hat. That was the kind of car you could still get out and do something with before all the electronics. And I show up, and there's Mother Angelica and I think Sister Michael.
I was there.
And, oh, you were there too, Sister Regina.
I was waiting for the horse.
And Mother comes up to me and says, excuse me, sir, can I help you? I said, hi, Mother. I'm Father Mitch Packwell. I'm your guest tonight. And her first response was to go, And I said, don't worry, I clean up real well. And so, which I did. She got on the phone right away and said, Bill, if this guy doesn't work out, you're in trouble. So he was all nervous too. But anyway, I came on the show. I think they showed a little photograph of that early show. And she and I hit it off right away. We had a great time. We talked about the origin of the canon. Now this is back February 29th, 1984. I can remember because it was Sadie Hawkins Day. And I always told Mother I was her Sadie Hawkins Day date that year. To which she responded, you must have been hard up. To which I responded, you asked me. So, and we had a great time. There was one moment when we were talking about the canon. The first crisis of the New Testament canon was when Marcion, denied everything Jewish in the Bible. And I said, not only did the Pope excommunicate him, but so did his own father, because he was the son of a bishop. Well, I had apparently said that a little quickly, and she was nervous that it said something different than bishop. And she did a double take. and she saw that I said bishop and something else, and she said, oh. So this is the kind of kid we're playing with tonight. But we did so well. She knocked the next hour off. She went on for 2 hours on the show. And during one of the breaks, she said, I want you to come back and do a series. And I've been doing series since '84. So that's how I got to.
Is that how you remember it, Sister Regina? Was Mother
yes.
just as happy as?
Oh, well, yeah, she was. She was. After she got over the shock. But she says, I met this really wonderful young priest and a Jesuit. And when she said Jesuit, and then we all went, huh? What happened to the Franciscans? But then she says, he's really a little different. But she says, I know I'm going to be able to work with him.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to do this really good.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun.
But you used to come a lot because
Yeah.
you
Oh,
got.
yeah.
Remember when it snowed? We had the ice storm and you were stuck.
I was editing the Holy Land Rosary.
Okay.
And we had the worst snowstorm in I don't know how many years. That was back in '93, March of '93. And that was my sister's birthday, March 11th. And we had, 18 inches of snow? I mean, Bill Steltman, we talked about this before, I saved his life because he had fallen in the snow and could not get up. He was just flailing. And then another guy from Georgia was on the board of trustees. He was caught, and I felt I needed a cask with some brandy in it to go and save all these people. I didn't want to give them the brandy, but I just wanted the cask.
He was stuck in the guest room, though. He was in the guest room the whole time reading Hebrew Bible.
Right.
And I told you it was backwards, and you told me, no, we read backwards.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But he got in a snowball fight with the friars during that snowstorm.
Yeah. So it was, we had all this stuff, and and Mother Angelica would sit around talking, just telling stories, and this was part of her character. Now, this, again, some people might think of us as being a little bit of characters. However, the queen of characters is Mother Angelica herself. You sisters especially knew how much she liked to have fun and that she was a good sport. I remember there was, back in 2000, she had a mariachi band on the show.
You're right here.
Yeah, right here in the studio.
big hat.
And let's take a look at that. We have a little bit of a clip.
Con mi burrito sabanero voy camino de Belén. Con mi burrito sabanero voy camino de Belén. Si me ven, voy camino de Belén. Dáselo, no. Si me ven, voy camino de Belén. Tuki, 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 tuki. Tuki, 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 ta. Apúrate, mi burrito, que ya
And this was not atypical. You know, to me, one of the most important things about Mother Angelica is that what you saw on TV is what you knew off of the stage as well. There was no difference. And you sisters especially saw that.
She loved to have fun.
Yeah.
She was so cheerful, and she didn't mind a joke, you know, a funny joke. In some way or an area, she'd laugh at it, and she'd dance.
Yeah.
Even with her braces, she
Yeah.
would dance.
Well, then, and when she got that healing, you know, that lady prayed, what was the first thing she did was come out here and dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, that just was, you know, who she was. And, you know, there's always a lot of fun, you know, about, well, not always. I don't want to forget, you know, she was, again, the same on the set as she was off. So if you crossed her, then you better be careful. Wouldn't you say, Sister Agnes?
I would say. Especially when someone instigates it.
Yeah, no, who would do that?
Poor father.
Yeah.
I caused you a little trouble, didn't I?
Oh, always, always. That's all right. But that was really a key component about why she was so lovable. You know, that was one element. Do you have any reflections on some of that yourself?
Oh, you know, absolutely. I think, you know, we had a tradition of having weekly vice presidents meetings with Mother through the years, and that was, they would go on for a very long time, in large part because most of the time was spent with Mother telling stories and you know, laughing and you know, just having a wonderful time. The other part was that we always used to have them on Wednesdays, and we would always order out for lunch. So she was always very keen to make sure that the meeting extended through lunch so that she could have us order out Italian food for her for lunch. So, you know, I think it extended the agenda a bit, but, you know, those are just wonderful.
She used to work so late sometimes.
Right.
She'd come in at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So she didn't have much, you know, by the time she got back to the monastery, the food had been waiting for her for a couple hours. So she was really happy to have a nice Italian meal with the vice president.
Right. Well, as a matter of fact, I can also remember at various times that folks, you know, various visitors, pilgrims would come here, and they would bring her hard salami or prosciutto or some, or that folks down in Louisiana would bring her some, you know, crawfish and stuff. She loved all that.
I don't know if she liked the crawfish.
Italian bread. She liked Italian
Well,
bread.
then somebody ate it.
The Italian, the Louisiana.
But I know they didn't
sisters.
share it with me.
Well, we used to go to the end of the table.
They have half of the community on one side and then the Louisiana people.
Louisiana's on one side and the rest of us on the other end.
But she had a lot of good friends in New York that would send down Italian food.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she
yeah,
loved it.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Father Anthony, you know, some of this in the past too, because, you know, Mother was the one who really is the foundress of y'all's community, right? And you're really continuing on a role that she began, but, you know, went on. You know, what was it like for being among the guys who were started as a community by her, community of Franciscans?
Well, she's very inspiring. I think her naturalness, as you've already referred to, is that what you saw is what you got. And she'd call us honey and dear, and you're not used to that, but very affectionate. And even the way she taught, her love of Jesus and her knowledge of Scripture, she knew who she was talking about and was just able to communicate that. It's like she lived with him and knew him every day. And for someone aspiring to the priesthood or is going to be having to help with the mission, you wanted to kind of capture that and say, that's the type of teaching we want to do, the way Mother is communicating the word. You know, people knew that God loved them just the way she talked about him.
That was something too that has often struck me over the years, that, you know, she had a few folks that didn't always like her. Sometimes folks outside the network, you know, there were various critics here and there. And one of the things that struck me is that a lot of those critics liked their ideas. Whereas mother loved Jesus and the people. She loves Jesus. I mean, she still, does a lot of praying every day. And that her focus was not on her ideology. I never thought of her as some sort of ideologue. She loves Jesus. She wants to honor him. She loves the folks. And I think that was also why at times she could get away with saying tough things, but true things about what was right and wrong. But just like your mom or the sisters that taught us in school, you didn't like being told tough things, but you knew she was right, and she said it because she loves you. That was key.
And she herself, at times would talk about the fact that, she was a grandmotherly type of figure, and that everybody needed their grandmother to keep them straight and to set them straight when they were wrong. And I think that was, in a way, how she always saw herself and her role on the air. But I think you mentioned that yes, there were those who disagreed with her, but I recall a conversation many years ago with a woman religious in D.C. Who certainly did not see the church and did not see the world the way mother saw it. And she said to me, as much as Mother Angelica and I would be absolutely, opposed to one another in almost everything, I have incredible respect for her, for the things that she's done, and for the fact that as a nun, as a woman in the church, she's been able to bring into being EWTN, and that EWTN has become what it's become. And for that, I have tremendous respect for her. So even though her critics were out there, I think there was also, in a moment of intellectual honesty, there had to be those times of admitting that Mother was indeed a phenomenal woman who has done and continues to do through her prayers and sacrifice now at this stage of her life great things for EWTN and through EWTN for the church.
We want to take a look at another clip. It's called Mother's Memories, and it's from some of the first series on the network. Let's take a look at that.
It's easy to remember some things, and then all of a sudden you begin to wonder, now when did we do that? I'll never forget the first series we began. It was called Mother Presents, and I went to Clearwater, Florida. Is that the place? I'm sure it was. There were so many people in that church, and that was the beginning of our series. We made it there, and then we came home and made it in the studio. Mother Angelica Presents. I think I was a little scared at that time. I didn't mind talking to all these people, but somehow when you talk to a camera, I look very serious here, and I think that's what happens when you just look at a camera. You don't see the people like I could see them here in this church. But somehow it took a little time to get to feel at home. And I remember saying to the Lord, Lord, I gotta have people. Well, he answered that prayer, because not only did people come here, but when I looked inside that camera, it was like a lot of people were there. A lot of people were there. I wasn't too sure, but I knew they were listening. What a day that was.
Thanks for the memories, Mother.
One of the things in regard to Mother's show prep, she didn't have a script. That's, you're not going to lasso that filly. It's not going to happen. But she would teach you sisters a lot. And that was one of the, Raymond Arroyo brings that out in his wonderful biography of Mother, that, she would teach you sisters, and then do some of the same presentations on her mother Angelica shows.
But she didn't prepare for those either. She would crack open the scripture and say, what are we going to talk about today? And she, and then she told me that like she would be really busy all day long, and she'd have the 7 o'clock program. She said so she would walk down the steps from the monastery to the network, not knowing what she was going to talk about.
Oh.
She'd sit down in the chair, and as soon as the light would go on, she was fine. So the Lord would give it to her when she came.
Yeah, I remember doing that with her. We'd be out here 10 minutes before the show. Yeah. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I don't know.
But you know what when Father Anthony was talking about Mother, she had a way of making holiness seem very attractive to the normal person. Some people, when you think, oh, holiness is boring, or holiness is, people who are holy are way off there. But Mother was she loved Jesus very much, and she's a very holy woman, but she's very human, and she had a great sense of humor. She was somebody everyone wanted to be with. Everybody wanted to be with Mother because she was a lot of fun. But at the same time, she was holy. So she gave a whole different aspect to what holiness is to some of us.
Yeah, sort of integrating her holiness into everyday life, and giving enough perspective on herself to laugh at herself, laugh with other folks who are good-naturedly laughing with her, and then smack you across the head if you did something stupid.
That's right, she did.
We got to take a little break. We're going to come back. We want to hear from all the members of our EWTN family whom you've come to know and love over the years, so please stay with us.
From the Program Acquisitions Department, we want to wish you a
happy birthday, Mother Angelica.
Happy birthday, Mother Angelica. We wish you a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mother.
Welcome back. Joining us now on the set, we have the Executive Vice President and COO of EWTN, also the host of Bookmark, Doug Keck. And we also have with us EWTN's employee chaplain, Father Joseph Mary Wolf. Welcome, both of you. Good to have you here.
Great to be on.
Now, among the three of you here, Father Joseph, you've known Mother the longest. When did you first come here?
I came here in January of 1985 to work as an engineer.
Okay.
So actually this studio was not yet in use. We were still using the little studio, and one of my first jobs was wiring the audio cables here in the studio. And Sister Regina and I both have titles that we are very proud of.
Yes.
She is?
I am the firstborn of Mother as far as the nuns. He's the firstborn as far as the sons.
Right, that's right.
So we're
now, which one, in general, firstborns in the family are bossier than the other kids. Which one of you two is more bossy?
Well, I think we kind of.
I think it's Mother Angelica.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's our mother.
Yeah.
When I was working in engineering, we had just opened the new studio here, and I was working the cameras in what was the former studio. And I was adjusting the colors and getting it ready for the live show, and Mother was walking in to pray with the crew, as she always did before the live shows. And she stops at the booth there where I was working, and she said, "You're going to be a brother in the new community I'm starting. You just don't know it yet. And then she walked on. So she was right.
Yep. And Doug, when did you first get in contact with Mother Angelica?
Well, the first time I came down, I started watching EWTN like a lot of people, and as part of a conversion experience, and I'd watch it. And then I was working in cable television, so I'd go out to the shows, and I'd go and kind of stop by the EWTN booth and kind of connect with people. And
you mean like the cable convention?
The cable convention
shows.
And so I came down in probably in about '93. I was here and I took a visit and walked around. I still remember some of the people here. Jody Copeland, I remember Jody being here. Steve Welsh, who was working there at the time. Those guys, Marvin, I remember getting that tour. And then I just had one of these things where I went back and I found myself starting to look at maps of Birmingham, Alabama, you know, just this idea of kind of feeling like just that there was something pulling me to think about coming here. And I thought, well, maybe when I retire and things, I'll do that. But it just took a mind of its own. And the story I always tell, we were looking to buy another house, and I told my wife, I said I was in the car driving, and the Lord or someone put it on my heart to say, you know, job's going to come along, doesn't pay a lot, and you're going to want to take it, so save your money. And so I said, okay. I said, hon, I don't know where we're going, but apparently we're not moving. And so then everything came together, and I came down, you know, and visited with my wife, and we were here, and, you know, we're from New York, and we were thinking, well, can we go to Birmingham, Alabama? And, you know, our family's up there, and I remember Mother just, you know, I was with Bill, and Bill was taking us around, and Bill's like, oh, to Mother, they're thinking of coming here. And all she looked right past me and looked at my wife and said, you want to come? And that was it. And then I got to meet with her, and you know, I told
it was leader to leader there.
Right. I told her my background and thing, and you know, I told her I had worked at some places that weren't the best, and she said, "Well, that's clearly, honey, why you're going to have to come here."
Yeah.
And I always tell the story of my son when we were sitting there, and Mother came over and was talking to my wife, and my son Matt's autistic, and he's an older guy now. He works over at Religious Catalog, but he was only about 8. And he started saying something, and I said, well, what are you saying? And he was looking at Mother Angelica, and he just said, she's just so beautiful. Yeah. She's just so beautiful. And I always think of that as just seeing, he just saw her for who she really was.
Sure.
So I'm like a lot of it, you know, I mean, when you came down and met Mother and she invited you to come, there really wasn't a lot of options. You were coming, whether you thought you were or you weren't, right? That's right.
Well, it's, you know, this has been, you know, an amazing adventure because, you know, Father Joseph, you came here with a great background in engineering. And Doug, you came here with a great background in what was still a fledgling industry of cable television, but you were there at the very early stages of getting networks going and all that. And Mother got this going without knowing how to adjust the color on a television set. You know, and that's always one of her great lines. She couldn't adjust the color. Do you remember when she made that decision to start the network?
Oh my! Well, you go back a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
I think it was Sister Joseph and her went up. I think it was either Chicago, and they went to a radio, either TV station.
No, it was a TV station.
They went up there, and they went up there, and she's just looking around, and she says, "Gosh, I gotta have one of these. You know, I just gotta have one of them." And of course, I was not in that, but Sister Joseph. She was there with Mother, and so she's listening. And so as time went on, they would pray. Sister Joseph would pray. She was very close to the Lord, and she said, told Reverend Mother, she says, the Lord does want a network that the media would be open to her, to be able to evangelize, but it would be opened. And of course, you just kind of go step by step after that, like she always did in the present moment. And so one thing led to another, and it did happen.
Yeah, and there was that element of her wanting the network when she saw that little network up in Chicago, but she also was kind of upset with the local network.
Oh, here.
Yeah, here in Birmingham.
Oh, yeah. That's when she said a few words. Yeah, you know, and we go, really? Did you say all that at that station? It was right up here, not somewhere. But they did not treat Jesus right.
You know, they were going to do a movie
yes,
that portrayed Jesus in immoral ways.
Yes, and
that
she
did
was
it. Really mad, as she could get.
Yeah. It was a just madness. I mean, she would get mad, but it was, you knew it was really the right mad. To get mad, you're going to get mad that way.
Well, again, like we all know, the way that she loves Jesus so much, to insult him and blaspheme him really set her off.
Really
and that was
did.
one of the other catalysts that got her moving down this direction.
Yeah.
And she told me that she stewed for 3 days after that, and that's when she said, we're going to do it.
She spent a lot of that time in the chapel before the Blessed Sacrament, I remember, and she sat, she had her place where she sat, the abbess, and she would have eye contact so intense that I would just really, I was in awe of it, because when she looked at Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament, there was a communication there that is hard to explain, because I knew then, when I saw that, something was going to happen.
Yep. You notice the same kind of pattern?
Yes, also she would get up very early in the morning, and she would spend a couple of hours before the Blessed Sacrament, because she had a busy day coming ahead. So she'd be the first one up, and she'd be standing there in front of the Blessed Sacrament for hours praying before our day started.
Yep.
So she, you know, a bishop came to visit her 2 months ago, and he said, when I think of Mother Angelica, he said, I think what we should put, you know, to represent her would be that she was a great defender and lover of the Most Blessed Sacrament.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's perfect, because Mother did everything because she loved Jesus. And she also defended him.
We actually have some guests on the telephone right now. We have Bob and Penny Lord on. Hello, Bob and Penny. You there?
Yeah, we're here. Hi, Father.
Hi, how are you?
You know, I couldn't help remembering when Sister Agnes said about Mother being a direct descendant of the Holy Mother. One of the times that we were with Mother in the kitchen area, and Mother was sitting in her.
Well, you know, I have to disagree with you a little bit about what you say. She's the same on stage as off stage, because we would do a live show, and after the live show was over, we'd have another show inside her office where my poor wife would be so hysterical that she'd say, I should have brought a tape recorder. I should have brought a tape recorder. And Mother Angelica would say, if you ever tape anything I say to you, I'll kill you.
The touching thing that I saw was Sister Agnes brought in a cup of tea, and there was Mother sitting in her rocker and looking down at Sister Agnes with the tea. And that was not an abbess who was looking down. That was a mother looking down to her daughter. So from that moment on, Mother Angelica was mother to us.
You know, we really fell in love with her the first time we met her. And we had written a book on miracles of the Eucharist, which the Eucharist is, as Sister Mary Agnes was saying, the highlight of her life. She said, we're going to do a series on this. And this was in like December of 1986. 2 months later, we were in a church, in Presbyterian church in Birmingham, and we're doing a series.
And you know, the funny thing is that everybody was acting very professional. So we didn't know anything except that, they know what they're doing.
They didn't know what they were doing.
It happened to be the first series that they had ever taped. And so, till today, Bob and I look at it and we smile. They didn't do too bad.
Mother Angelica has always been, well, I guess I'm her greatest fan. She used to call me sweetheart. Right? Yeah, she called me sweetheart and wink at me. I guess she does that to everybody, though. But we have loved her from the day we met her. She has always backed us up. She has always been for us, and everything that.
Oh, well, thank you very much for being with us, because I know you've been doing a lot of great service yourselves, and been right there as great partners with Mother over the years. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
And one of the things with Bob and Penny that's great is that, I was just to say, really, thanks to them, so many people know about the saints, much more than maybe for a period of time when people weren't talking about the saints. And what Sister Agnes was talking about, I always think of, there was Mother with our Lord, in the Blessed Sacrament and Eucharistic Adoration at a point in time when other people thought that was passé. Right. And we see what a visionary she was to stay with that, and how much of the revitalization in the church and in the priesthood is based upon Eucharistic adoration.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the reasons God chose a poor Clare of perpetual adoration. And her love of the Blessed Sacrament is like St. Clare is often depicted holding a monstrance. And I see Mother as a daughter of St. Clare holding up that monstrance to the whole world and saying, come, let us adore him. Yeah.
Now, we have another great friend of Mother Angelica and all of us, Raymond Arroyo, who is our EWTN News Director. Hello, Raymond.
How are you, Father?
Fine. We were just talking about your fine book about Mother Angelica. You have a lot of great reflections about her from the work you did on that book and knowing her.
Well, look, I've gotten so many calls and emails this week as Doug was airing his bookmarks, and I guess I didn't know about it. They're sending me things, I'm so glad to see you have this new book of Mother's sayings and her teachings and her prayers. I said, well, those aren't new, but thanks for noticing. So I guess they've been watching the bookmark. I was just with Mother this past weekend, and she's certainly suffering and quiet these days, but there is that sense that you get when you're with her that she's offering this up, and it is part of her path and the cross that she has now. And though, all of us would love, for Mother to start telling jokes and, I guess, hitting me over the head as she did in the old days, there is something radiant about her and the new witness that she gives us now, certainly that I see. And I was thinking back the other day, somebody asked me, what were some of her funniest moments? And I was thinking, gosh, I could rattle off 12 of them. But the thing that gave me the most consolation, I remember in the late 90s, there was a cardinal who was in a little kerfluffle with Mother, and she really felt embattled. And we were sitting after one of the live shows in the guest house there having tea and nutter butter cookies. Those cookies, they're shaped like big peanuts. And at one moment, after a long conversation about all the things that were going on and how terrible it was, she started laughing, and she held the nutter butter up and looked at it very intently. And she said, it's not the attacks I mind, or even the scandals that they bring. It's the nuts I could do without. And she bit the head off of the nutter butter. And so she always had this great sense of fun and sense of humor, even in those dark moments, even when she was embattled and feeling the scourges of, whether it was from outside the church or inside. And that sense of joy and that confidence that God would take her through has never abandoned her. And you still see that today when you're with her.
That's very much true. The times I've gotten a chance to visit, I'm sure, sisters, when you get to visit her, she can't speak very much. If she doesn't say anything to me, maybe she talks to you all a little bit more. But she still has that look in her face. She holds your hand and winks.
She does, and she'll pat you on the cheek.
Right.
And then if you do something she doesn't like, she gives you the look. She does that. She did it to me 2 days ago. I'm like, ooh. But she might be quiet, but she still She gets
She's
across.
still mother.
Yeah. Father Joseph came today to see her.
Oh, did you?
He brought the gift from the EWTN crew.
Oh, great.
So the crew chipped in to give Mother a little gift, and so I delivered that. And they also made, you're seeing these little spots that they made with each of the groups of employees wishing Mother happy birthday. Well, they put those photos in a card for Mother, and they signed it and gave her a little message. So I was happy to deliver that today.
Well, I want to thank you, Raymond, for being with us tonight and reminding us of, from your visit, of some of our own visits as well. And we also have another guest online. Hello, Dr. Alice van Hildebrand. Dr. Alice, you there?
Hello?
Hello, there you are. How are you?
Well, fine, thank you. It's my privilege to add my voice to the praise of Mother Angelica, a person for whom I have a feeling of awe. Now, personally, I would like to emphasize one particular thing that hasn't been said up to now. What I've had absolutely amazing about Mother Angelica is that she has taught us how to defeat defeat. She was born in an underprivileged condition, father and mother divorced, living in great poverty. For a child to discover that father and mother do not agree, that she's an accidental fruit, that somehow her existence is not justified. Number two, when she entered as a young nun, she had an accident and had to wear braces for years and after years and years. She never allowed to be defeated by a defeat because of her faith, because of her love, because of other, because she knew, like St. Paul, that she could do all things in him that strengthened us. She had the mad idea of starting a television, which she had nothing. She had no money. She had absolutely no connection. Once again, she puts all her trust in God and succeeds in spite of the tremendous difficulties that she had to face. Let us realize she was a woman. And this, to start a television station when you're a woman was no advantage. She was often opposed by people who should have supported her. They were church authority opposing her work. She was humiliated. She never let herself be defeated. No, she, like me, she hated feminism. But simultaneously, she knew that the strength of women is to know that they are weak. And when they put all their trust in God, they cannot be defeated. I claim that a holy woman can defeat the world because she trusts in God. And from this point of view, you can truly say that it is understandable what St. Bernard said, the person the devil fears most is a Holy Virgin, because belonging to the so-called weak sex, she defeats him. Now, to my mind, this is a great lesson that Mother is giving us in a time when so many people are discouraged. So many people lose their courage because they've been defeated and become bitter. She knows that we can do all things in him that strengthens us.
Oh, thank you very much. As always, you bring not just a few memories, but penetrating insight. We appreciate that, and we're glad to have you as part of our celebration of Mother's 90th birthday. Thank you.
I think Dr. Alice is 90. She turned, I think, 90 earlier.
Oh,
this
that's
year,
right. Yeah,
right.
yes.
Mother's her younger sibling in that one.
Yeah. Also, speaking of women who've been very much involved in the network, we also have on the phone Johnette Benkovich. Hello, Johnette.
Hello, Father Mitch and Doug, Father and sisters. It's wonderful to have this opportunity to be with all of you, to pay tribute to one of the great women saints of the church who is still with us.
Well, good to have you on. Now, unlike Dr. van Hildebrand, who just turned 90, you're not anywhere close to that.
No, but the years seem to just accrue here, and I've actually been a part of the EWTN family going all the way back to 1988 when our programming first started to air. And just thinking about those early days has brought me such joy. And through the grace of God, in all of these years, I've maintained a prayer journal. And I pulled out my prayer journal going back to actually try to reaffirm in my own mind what was the date that I first met Mother. And it was August the 4th, 1987. And in my journal, I have that experience outlined there. And it was incredible. I discovered something I had well forgotten. And at that moment when I had this opportunity to meet her, and she was talking with me about coming to do programming, and my head was whirling because, I certainly had no background in television. I had no knowledge of anything about programming. She's talking away, and then she says at some point that she envisions a program about women. And I had quite forgotten that she had made that statement. And so here we are all of these years later, and Mother's word, her prophetic word, has come true, obviously, through Women of Grace, which has been on the air with the network since 2010, preceded by The Abundant Life. Mother, to me, is just an icon of what it means to be authentically feminine. And Dr. von Hildebrand was talking about that. Mother is the perfect mixture of maternal beatitude. My experiences with Mother have been tender, have been kind, have been most compassionate. Whenever she had a difficult word to deliver, it was delivered with great loving kindness. But at the same time, Mother demonstrates the woman who will not be defeated, as Dr. von Hildebrand mentioned. Courageous woman, a woman of great fortitude and a woman of great strength. And I must say that when I face challenges, either in my personal life or when I face them in my apostolic life through our ministry and our efforts, I always think, how would Mother handle this? How would she handle it? How can I be that authentic woman and demonstrate those beautiful qualities of maternal beatitude and strength as well? What a marvelous gift she is to the church. What marvelous example she gives us, even in this time of great travail for her.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's you're one more like so many of these other people we've had, Raymond and all the other folks who've been guests with us tonight, who have been enabled to do your own distinctive ministry, because Mother has given a setting in which to put that. I think of a lot of these programs as being like a variety of jewels that Mother's helped to find, but she gave that gold setting that, that makes it possible for it to form this Catholic picture. And we thank you for the response that you've also had.
Right, just to pick up on what you're saying there, Father Mitch, I mean, I think for us as well, for all of us who were imbued with Mother's, graces in the sense of trying to follow her mission here. And really in so many ways, we like to look at all the programs as being different aspects of Mother's spirituality reflected. No one can, it's the composite that Mother Angelica is. But in some ways, if we can have pieces of it as expressed in different ways by different personalities, different people, but embody that same vision that Mother had for the network and that same sense of going forward to support our Lord and the church is really important. And one other thing I have to mention, I have to get a plug in, is that you can go to our Facebook page, and if you like us on there, we're trying to get up to 200,000, but we're at about 183,000 likes. But if you can get to 190 for 90, that's okay too. But it's really important for people, I think, out there to support each other, support Mother Angelica, and show us how important her work has been in your life.
We have somebody else on the phone. Hello, Bishop Baker.
Hello, Father Mitch and Father Joseph and Doug, Sister Mary Regina, Sister Mary Agnes, and I join all of you in extending a very happy 90th birthday to Mother Angelica, and had the good pleasure of actually doing it in person this past Monday as I visited her briefly, and so was able to extend those good wishes and prayers with her. And I thank Sister Regina and Sister Agnes also for the beautiful music they provided for me for a Holy Mass in the beautiful chapel there for the Knights and Ladies of the Holy Sepulchre. But a special way, I think George Weigel's book, Evangelical Catholicism, summarizes what Mother Angelica was about. She not only invented that term many years ago, but put it into practice concretely, working so beautifully off the scriptures and bringing the truth and the love and the life of the gospel of Jesus to so many people, not only to our Catholic household of faith, but to many thousands of people who are not Catholic. And in that beautiful way she had of touching lives, bringing so many people into the Catholic household of faith. And I know this evening there are many people out there whose lives are being touched directly by her and by that great charism that she had to kind of invent, in a way, what George Weigel typified for the church in our modern age of evangelical Catholicism.
Well, thank you very much, Bishop Baker. Appreciate the support that you've given us here at the networks in the years that you've been bishop here. And I'm sure that Mother Angelica appreciates that support as well.
Well, I hope to continue in that effort, too, to be of personal support as the local ordinary here in Birmingham to the tremendous work of EWTN that Mother started, and I'm honored to be part of the board of directors.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that service as well.
Bishop Baker has been such a support to the network since he's been here in Birmingham, and we're grateful for his support over these years for our community and for EWTN and so on. You know, one of the things about Mother is that she didn't micromanage. She had a sense, I believe, that the Holy Spirit would work with you too. And so she gave you this freedom to work out how you're going to produce programs, what you were going to do, what was going to be the elements. That she had a sense that the Holy Spirit was working in her, but also that if you prayed, that he would work and guide you too and work. And so I think that's one of the things that the employees enjoyed. You think about Jody, who worked in the construction crew, and then she says, well, come in here and learn how to produce a program. And he's still with us.
Yeah, Jody Copeland, so many people see his name on the credits. He was one of the construction guys. And there were a number of the construction guys that just, she asked, well, do you boys think you can learn how to run the TV cameras? And they just stayed on, you know, and they did learn. They did learn. She, like I said, she trusted them.
Right. Well, that's why, you know, I came out of radio and television in New York after 20 years and worked on a bunch of channels. And I certainly came here, and you know, I will be the first one to say it's the loaves and the fishes. I mean, you just can't believe, you know, if you look at it from a secular kind of broadcast facility, you just can't believe the kind of work that comes out of here, the quality of the people who are here, the teamwork that was built over the years. And it's just, anybody who works here for more than a day realizes it has to be a work of God, because we couldn't do it ourselves. And I think one of the great things these days, in a sense, going forward is the great camaraderie, not only at EWTN and the team, but in effect the three children of Mother Angelica, the sisters, the friars, and the network, all working together and supporting one another. And I think it's just a beautiful monument to Mother Angelica.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to take a little break because we have still more guests that we want to have on here tonight and talk more about how much, you know, that 90 years of life that Mother Angelica is celebrating now means to us as we continue to do what she started and she continues to pray for. So please stay with us.
Hi, Mother. From engineering, we just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. We love you, we miss you, and we thank you for all your prayers and all that you've done. Happy birthday, Mother.
Mother Angelica, we love you, and we wish you every blessing on your 90th birthday. From all the Franciscan missionaries of the Eternal Word,
Happy birthday, Mother!
Thank you and welcome back. And joining us again on the set to help answer some of your questions is EWTN President Mike Warsaw. And we want to take some of the questions that we will have from various viewers. You know, one of the things that I remember Mother saying most poignantly, and you might have some stories about this, she said, you know, I have a lot of faith, but my stomach doesn't always know it, you know. And there were a lot of times where things were really, really tense. You know, we'd run out. I remember you remember the telethons?
No money.
You know, we had somebody made a mistake with a decimal point, and we owed $140-some thousand, and we were. I mean, a couple of us priests were doing song and dance routines for money on the air.
I think you did a little song, didn't you?
I did. Another one did a song and dance. You know, we were doing. I told jokes for money, you know, to get pledges coming in.
Yes,
but
we did.
but you know that was part of what she did. You know, is keep going steadily, as you know, Dr. von Hildebrand mentioned, and. Here we still are. We still are.
Mother's trust in her Lord and her God was so tremendous. If he would have asked her to walk across the whole earth without shoes or whatever, she would have did it because she knew the providence of God would be there always for her. But she would have went out and did it because she knew the providence. She believed greatly in the providence of God.
One of my favorite stories from Raymond's book was when the satellite dish arrived, and she needed to have $60,000 for them to unload it. She didn't have it. And how she went into the chapel and said, Jesus, if you want this network, you got to get me $60,000 now. And she meant right now. And nothing. Do you remember who it was that stopped her? One of the sisters stopped her and said that there's a man on the phone who needs to talk to you. And she said, I can't talk to him now, and I got to tell him to take the dish back. I said, no, he's on a boat in the Caribbean, one of the first cell phones. And she said, I'll talk to him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then when she was saying, "Oh, thank you, sweetheart," you know,
because he offered her $60,000.
Yeah,
you know, so it was just great stuff.
She did.
So it was just all kinds of things that happened, you know, like that. We have a caller on the line. Hello, Amelia.
Hi, Father Mitch.
And where are you calling from?
Florida.
Good to have you. And what's your question or comment?
Just a comment. My husband and my son and I are in RCIA today because of EWTN, and we just want to say happy 90th birthday, Mother, and we love you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Amelia. That's a common story.
We had a radio program on Monday, and we just invited callers to call in and to say how EWTN helped them in their life, and it was really encouraging to hear all their stories. One woman who had lost her husband that said that EWTN really helped her through that difficult time.
Sure,
you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I can remember programs, people were going to commit suicide, and they happened. Some of them would say, I don't know how the channel was on EWTN because I never turned that channel on. And there's Mother Angelica, and you know, she changed my mind. You know what she said?
I had the experience at our family celebration out in Denver a few years ago of having a woman who came up to me and said to me, I want to tell you how much I want to thank you. You saved my life. And she had one of those stories where she had contemplated suicide, turned on the TV, and there was EWTN. She went through the night. She changed her outlook. And at the end of the story, she said, I want to thank you, though, for something more important than just saving my life. And that is that you saved my soul. and I'll be eternally grateful to all of you at EWTN for that. And you know, that was just one of those very poignant moments.
We have another caller. Hello, Mercedes?
Yes,
Hi, where are you from?
San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, great city. And what's your comment, ma'am?
I just wanted to let you know that through Mother Angelica's, my husband was inspired, and he became a Catholic, and he smuggled rosary scapulars and wax candles in a bad part of Indonesia. And he taught a man how to say a Hail Mary. That was not Catholic. And I praise the Lord for Mother Angelica. Happy birthday, Mother Angelica. May God bless you, and we love you.
Well, we also want to remember your husband in our prayers, because that's certainly a great work. And Indonesia is a place where the church has really been growing fantastically. So, you know, once again, Mother gets involved.
It's like there's a ripple effect. You know, Mother's own outreach, her evangelical Catholicism, inspires others to do the same too, to go out and to bring the gospel to other people.
For our his homily last week, he just read emails from people from China,
Sri Lanka,
yeah,
and Japan. That's
from
right.
people who are listening.
Oh, that's cool.
So.
Now, one story when she was talking about her husband smuggling rosaries. Of course, Mother loved the rosary. And at the beginning of the network, we had one of the most boring pieces of television I've ever seen. You know, it was, you know, it was saying the rosary, which is great, but in terms of visuals, it was dull as dirt.
Was it the one out in the field?
No, that was good. that was one of the actions. That was a really great piece. We still use that, but it was a couch, Mother on a chair, 3 sisters on the couch, a sister on another chair, and it would be Mother, and then just go down to each sister, and then the camera moved back and moved back. It was just, that's all they had, you know, and
So the nuns
it
were
was
worse than the field.
Oh, yeah, the field was very nice. But the thing that I said, well, we need to get a better rosary. That would be nice. Well, this government of Israel said, we will fly you and a camera crew to Israel. And she kept saying, no, it's too dangerous. I don't want to put these boys at danger, you know, the camera crew. And I didn't know what to do. And this went on for a couple of months. And I remember being here. And I went to the chapel and I said, all right, I'm going to use one of Mother Angelica's lessons. I'm talking to Jesus about this. And I said, oh, Lord, what would get Mother Angelica to change her mind? And it came to me. I went out the door, and there she was. I said, Mother, what if we videotaped praying the rosary in the Holy Land? 15 seconds, that decision was made. And you know, so Jesus, you know, you can, all of us can go to
still airing
Jesus.
that, too,
It's still on the air.
We see that.
You know, for after all these years, 20 years. We have Louis on the phone. Hello, Luis.
Hello, I'm calling from Washington, Leavenworth, Washington.
Great.
And I wanted to wish Mother a blessed feliz cumpleaños, happy birthday.
Muchísimas gracias.
I just wanted to say that she is an inspiration to my vocation. I'm a seminarian of the Diocese of Yakima. I ask for your prayers and for my brothers too. And wish to say that, like with Mother Teresa, with Blessed John Paul II, she is a saint among us, and I am sure that she will be raised to the altars. She is an awesome woman.
Oh, that's fantastic, Luis. And also say hello to Bishop Carlos for me, would you?
Absolutely.
Thank you. He's one of my Jesuit brothers, and I was made the bishop over there in Yakima. Also, not only your vocations inspired, but others' vocations as well. The 3 of you and others. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, wonderful.
It's, you know, this has been one of the other things too, like you mentioned, Michael, that so many vocations are inspired by Eucharistic adoration. And that has been a key element that underlies what we do in EWTN. You know, the sisters praying for us. You all still pray 24 hours a day, right?
We sure do.
You know, somebody always before the Blessed Sacrament. And that kind of adoration has been going on for so many years. That's what is the support. But Mother did that first. I mean, she was doing that herself and not just telling others to pray. She did it. And that was key to the work that she could accomplish.
We also, every morning when we pray our rosary as a community, we offer it for the EWTN viewers and staff. So that's part of our prayer every day, so that if you watch EWTN, the sisters are praying for you.
Priests in the nights.
We have somebody else on the phone. This is a great treat. Hello, Chris Harrington.
Yes, Father. How are you?
Fine, fine. You, a lot of folks may not know you because you were so much behind the scenes, but you were the producer that worked so extensively with Mother Angelica for many years.
Yes, I really did. I had that great luxury and honor and pleasure. They were some wonderful years with Mother.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any particular memories that you'd want to share?
Well, you know, I was listening to some of the calls, and it reminds me the first words I ever heard Mother say, even before I saw her, was, "Isn't God good?" And in hearing all the stories of how the network has touched people and helped them through hard times, I think that still stands true. Isn't God good?
Yes.
And the other thought that comes to mind of all those years with Mother, and actually some of the first years before EWTN was even a 24-hour network, we who worked with Mother were so blessed because during those years, she spent a great deal of time with us, helping us understand the Lord in the present moment and all these many lessons that she's taught us through the years. And I think the thing that I would say at this point is, by the fruits, you know them. And what fruit EWTN and Mother Angelica, through her yes to our Lord, has borne. I'm still amazed. I don't get to see the network much anymore because I don't have cable where I am, but I can go on the internet and see it from time to time and look and see the great coverage y'all did during the election of the new Holy Father, and it's by their fruits you know them, and what a marvelous, marvelous lesson.
Well, you certainly did tremendous work for many, many years here. Certainly, when I first came, you were still producing, but you had gotten all that experience working with Mother and helped keep things focused, and that was always tremendous.
When Chris Harrington was producing, when I first entered, we would go in the back and answer the telephone calls for the live shows, and I guess I got the numbers mixed up. And Chris Harrington came in that night, and she opens the door. She says, "Is someone dyslexic out here?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's the new one on the block."
We have another caller. Hello, Aurelio. Is Aurelio there?
Yes, this is Aurelio.
Hi, where are you from?
I'm from Silverton, Oregon.
Great, good to have you on. Well, what's your comment?
Oh, I just wanted to say how inspirational Mother Angelica is to me personally. She's just been a blessing. I pretty much ran into her by accident on the surfing through the channels, and I am absolutely amazed at what EWTN has done to bring me back to my Catholic faith. That's basically it, and I wish her many, many more years.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Aurelio. We're glad to welcome you back. Do what we can and what Mother does. Matter of fact, one of the things that you remind me of, Aurelio, is that we're still showing Mother Angelica's programs, because they're still just that good. They're just wonderful programs, and it's a great privilege to listening to her on the radio this morning when I was driving for a short while. And it's just wonderful to hear, her wisdom again.
And I think another dimension of that too is the fact that Mother Angelica has been translated into multiple languages and airs on all of EWTN's television networks around the world. So we've translated Mother into Spanish, into German, into French. We have projects in place in other parts of the world where she's in Ukrainian, she's in Lithuanian. We've even had a station in Seoul, Korea, that has translated her into Korean. And I was talking with somebody actually recently in Rome when I was there for the conclave. And I was saying that it's remarkable to me that Mother can be translated and be relevant in each of these cultures, in each of these languages, and that message still comes through. And people have a great love for Mother, regardless of what language it is. And she's able, and has been able all these years, to not only remain timeless, but to be able to have a message that translates across all cultures and across all boundaries. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, I was speaking with one of the folks that does some of the translating of her into German, and the great response that Mother evokes in Germany is just wonderful. And we've been accustomed to many others, but even the fact that we have not only English, Spanish 24 hours, but now German 24 hours, and French, and these other languages, Ukrainian, like I said, that is so amazing. Plus the radio, the vision that she had for radio is just incredible. And what are there, 230 or so?
There's about 230 AM and FM stations in the U.S. that carry EWTN, and that says nothing about our international network of radio stations in Spanish and throughout Asia and the Pacific and Africa and Europe, where radio is dominant. Our web presence, which really, Mother had the vision, the understanding to back in 1996 when we came to her and said, EWTN really needs to enter into the internet. It's this new medium that's coming along. And EWTN was really one of the first Catholic apostolates in the world to be on the internet. And Mother understood that. She always was encouraging of us adopting new technologies, using whatever new methods were created and were coming along for the mission of EWTN and to be able to spread the gospel. It was remarkable. And you think now as well, things that Mother, I know Sister Regina often told the story of when we acquired the National Catholic Register, of Mother saying how much she wanted to have a newspaper all those years and never quite had that happen. And now EWTN has a newspaper that's part of the mix of all of the services that we do, all from the beginnings and in a few feet away here in the studio.
And Father Joseph, from your days as an engineer, you'd be certainly very aware of how Mother didn't say, let's just keep the old equipment and we'll just no, she always, we have to keep up with all the new developments. And that's been very important for her vision of how we keep moving forward.
There was a big transition moment when I was still working in engineering, when we really didn't have the equipment necessary to go 24 hours. But through God's providence, she got this equipment that had sat in storage for a couple of years in California for a much smaller cost than the original cost.
Right.
And so we installed that in what is the control room now. And
which used to be the studio.
Right, which used to be the studio. And we were working 16-hour days to get ready for not only go 24 hours a day, but cover Pope John Paul II's visit to the United States in 1987. And that was a time when the network really grew. So she wanted to go full steam ahead.
That was the time when we thought we were going to go off the air because we were on 4 hours and we lost the transponder.
Right.
And that was a time when she really had to trust the Lord. And he came in I think it was the Feast of the Sacred Heart when all of a sudden we found out we could go 24 hours.
And something that I want to make real quickly a point. When Mother had trouble, we couldn't speak, people thought, well, EWTN's going to go away. But her continued prayerful intercession has seen us grow tremendously. And this has been fantastic. Now, we have a very short time left, and we want to present a very special, sweet birthday present to Mother Angelica via television and for all the folks here. And that is, of course, one of her own favorites, which is cake. And this cake, birthday cake.
Can we sing?
I don't think we can.
There are legal issues with that.
A variety of legal issues about that. And then, of course, if I were leading it, there'd be
copyright.
If I were leading the song, there would be also artistic issues. But I can smell the sweetness.
Can the
over here.
sisters say happy birthday to Mother?
Of course, please do.
Because you heard everybody else.
Yes.
Where's the camera?
Just,
Which one?
Just keep looking.
Happy birthday, Mother, from all your
Angelica.
sisters.
We love you.
We love you.
Your firstborn.
And obviously, her favorites. Now, the only thing that would make this cake totally perfect is if these are the kind of candles that when you blow them out, they don't go out.
They don't.
All right, so sisters, why don't you try that?
You mean they won't blow out?
Why don't you see if you can blow them out? We have 1 minute left.
Oh, wow.
Let's see if you can try it.
Sister's the singer.
Oh, I don't mean that.
Ready?
A little closer.
A little closer.
Yeah, you're hooked in there. There you go.
Okay, you try that side, I'll try this one. Okay.
All right.
One,
Go ahead. Two, three.
They don't blow out, do they?
See? Some of them blow
I
up.
can't get that far.
There you go.
Can you get the there?
All right.
I guess there's one.
Michael,
Work at this.
There we go.
No, they're coming back. There you go. All right. Well, thank you all. Keep praying for Mother Angelica and the sisters and us here at EWTN. And we want to thank God for Mother Angelica and for all the great that has happened through her. And may God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.